Okay. Well, today on the podcast, I'm so excited to welcome Shayla Houlihan to the show. Welcome to the podcast, Shayla.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
I have had your sister Shelby on the podcast several times, so it's fun to talk to another
Oh,
Houlihan.
I know, lucky you. No, yeah, I know I've enjoyed listening to her talk on your podcast. So
She is so full of energy. And on the most recent episode, too, we talked about Connie.
Yep.
And now I just love your family. So maybe we can get started talking about your family. Like, can you share a
Yeah.
little bit what it was like growing up? You guys have so many siblings.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, there's so many of us. My parents are divorced and Connie is my stepmom that is basically my mom. So she basically raised me from the age of 3 on up, and she's a phenomenal woman. Didn't have to do that, but did and took that upon herself. But yeah, so there are 7 of us total. I'm right in the middle.
Okay.
Um, and I'm also like the youngest of the first group of kids. So
Okay.
it's my dad and then my real mom. So I'm the youngest of that first group. And there's even a big age gap in us. So I'm 35, and then my older sister is 51. So
Wow.
yeah, there's already a big gap.
So
But
is that the
then
next oldest or is that the oldest?
that's the oldest.
Okay.
My next oldest, she's 40, and then my brother is 49, and
Okay.
then my oldest sister is 51, Kelly. Yeah.
Okay. So the first set, is there three of you or four of you?
There's 4 of us.
There's four.
Yeah.
And then with Connie, it's Shelby and then two other girls.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then one of them is competing in college, right?
She's not competing. She's getting her degree at Arizona State.
Okay.
She's going into her senior year this year.
Okay. Well, that's so fun.
Yeah.
A big family. I love that.
Yeah, it's been fun, and it's pretty amazing for how big the age gap is, how close we are. We have a
Mm.
family group text and we're constantly in contact with each other, and we're pretty close.
So are all seven on the group text or is it like separate group text?
No, all 7 of us are, and then
Really?
some of like their significant others who are married, yeah. And then
Oh
like
my
nieces
gosh.
and nephews are on there too.
Oh, I love
So,
it. Okay, so talk about this though, because so I know Connie was a 2:35 marathoner. What about your dad? Is he super athletic too? Did he compete? I forget. Tell me that story.
yeah, well, he didn't compete, but he took up running after he got divorced from my mom, and that's actually how he and Connie met.
Okay.
And he started running marathons. There was like this local group in Sioux City, and I think he always like was in awe of Connie, and
Mm.
then finally got to meet her and hang out with her, and he's like, "Whoa, I love this woman." They like met and then kind of immediately got married, and the rest is history. They've been married for 30 years now. Jeez. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, time goes by so fast. It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your running career because I know you ran pro steeplechase. When
Yeah.
did you find out that you had a love for running? Were you the first of the kids in the family to really get into it? What did that look like?
Yeah, I started running. Well, and it's probably much like Shelby. Shelby was younger when she started running, but I would just be following my dad and Connie around to all of their races that they were doing, and I would hop in like the local, mile race or whatever they had for the kids fun run. And it was something that I was always good at, at recess or whatever. I'm running around in elementary school and beating everyone. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty good at this. But it was honestly nothing I ever took seriously until probably my sophomore year of college.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was lucky and fortunate enough for Coach Kepler to take a chance on me my freshman year. I walked into his office the first day of practice and I was like, "Hey, I want to run." And I come out for the team, and he's like, we have a hill workout today. We'll see if you can." So basically, I just like went to the well that day and like tried to hang with everyone and was super positive and like tried to make a positive impact because that's really all I had to give
Uh
at that
huh.
point. I wasn't that good in high school. So, yeah, he took a shot on me, and that I'm very grateful for it.
So was that cross country or track?
That was cross country.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that story. That's so cool.
Yeah, I had been on campus for about a week, and I had previously, like in the spring, I had gone into Coach Bucknam, who was the coach at the time, and I thought he was going to be the coach going into the fall. I went into his office and I was like, "Hey, can I walk onto the team?" And he was kind of said yes, but it was kind of like, I don't know if this guy's going to even remember me. Um, so then during the summer, I was like, I don't know, I haven't had any correspondence with anyone. And then meanwhile, Coach Kepler was given the head coaching job for cross country for the men and the women. And so I walked into the office and Coach Bucknam was like, ask Coach Kepler, he's the new head
Uh,
coach.
were you intimidated?
um, I don't remember being intimidated because it was something I wanted to do
Uh-huh.
so badly. And, like, oh, I guess back to my story, I had been on campus for a week and I was just sitting in my dorm. I was like, I can't do this for the
Mm-hmm.
next 4 years, just sitting here and just being like a normal student.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I like really decided to put myself out there, try to sell myself to the coaches.
So when you say you weren't good in high school, were you really not good, or were you just like not really applying yourself? You know what I mean? Like, did you compete, but
Yeah.
you were just kind of like, yeah, whatever, this is a fun thing.
Yeah, I was doing so many other things at the
Yeah.
time. It was just like I was in band. I was in marching band too. So early mornings for that. I was flight corps captain, and I was in choir, and I was student council vice president. Um, I was involved in anything I could possibly be involved in. So cross country, I was there for that as well. But probably part of the time, I would call up Coach Golly and be like, yeah, today I have marching band this afternoon. Whether or not that was true, I don't know.
Your coaches were probably pissed though, because they were like, she would be so good.
Yeah, probably because I've had a few of those while coaching collegiately, and I'm
Oh,
just like, oh man,
yeah.
this is karma.
You mean kids that have their hands in so many things, and you're like, if you would just singularly focus a little bit more.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's interesting. Okay, so college. Tell us what your college career like. When did you turn to steeplechase? What did that look like?
Yeah, I turned to steeplechase after my freshman year. So like during my sophomore year is when I really dove into the steeplechase, and it was always something I wanted to do because in Sioux City there's Morningside College, and there's gosh, I forget, the Sioux City Relays is what it is that they host. And I would always see the women doing the steeplechase, and it was fairly new at that point. It had to have
Yeah.
been in its infancy, to be honest. So it was kind of, it's to think back now, I'm like, oh wow, like the fact that they were running steeplechases at that time is
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool. And the fact that I was exposed to it that early is pretty neat. So yeah, I early on in high school, I was like, man, I want to try that. That looks so badass. Like I want to be one of those women. And then so finally, after my freshman year, I was like, well, I once again didn't have a great season. I think I got hurt a bunch, all that, and like I need to make myself useful. And we didn't have any steeplechasers at the time, and so I kind of took it upon myself to teach myself the steeplechase. Um,
Really?
yeah, my
Wow.
roommate and one of my best friends, she's a 400 hurdler, actually short and long hurdler, and she would kind of help me with like form drills after practice. So, yeah, that was really my first exposure to the steeplechase was my sophomore year.
So there was no. I mean, I'm assuming that you tell me, but the distance coach is usually the coach that coaches the steeplechasers.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Um, so I just honestly wasn't good enough. So it was kind of just one of those like, well, I'm going to teach myself this. Like, I don't even know if Coach Kepler knew I was doing it. He knew I was interested in it, but like with somebody that was where I was at level wise, it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, okay, you're all talk instead of like, let's see some action before you actually do it, you know? So that was kind of me taking actions and taking steps on my own and making the commitment before he would really help me with stuff. But once I started doing it, he's like, okay, she's doing it. She's committed. So he then helped me. So, and he's been my coach for almost like 7 years because he coached me even post collegiately too.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Um, who were your competitors in steeplechase? I mean, since it was so new, I'm trying to think. So you're 35, so you graduated
Yeah.
college in what, like 2007,
Yes,
2008?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep,
2007.
2007. I ran my 5th year at Utah, and that was 2008.
Okay.
So, oh gosh. Um, well, I guess I kind of think back to my Utah days, and that would have been like Angela Warren
Okay.
at BYU. Like she was so awesome. Like she was somebody that I always looked up to. Um, what was it? Desiree at Wichita State. That was another person that I always looked up to a lot. Um, and then obviously like Anna Willard was somebody that I was like totally obsessed with. Totally obsessed with. I have a funny story actually.
Yes,
But
tell.
I haven't really shared that often or at all. I don't
Breaking
know.
story here
Um,
on I'll Have Another.
oh my God, I just popped in when I said Anna Willard. So it was my first and only Diamond League that I raced, and it was my first year as a pro. I signed with Brooks, and I somehow get into the Diamond League at Prefontaine. And it's the morning of the steeplechase, and I go to the breakfast, and then I go to sit down, and I sit right next to Anna Willard, and I'm like freaking out. Like, this is so cool. I text my coach, and I was like, I'm sitting next to Anna Willard, and she's eating bacon. I'm in love. We're both eating bacon. This is so cool.
This friendship is meant to be. I love that. Tell us about Anna Willard because, like, I don't know anything about her, and maybe some of my listeners don't either.
I don't know. Like she's just got that. She always had that spunk about her, and she just always seemed so normal. And
Mm.
that's even like in my coaching or even my running career. Like I always just tried to be normal
Mm.
to a certain degree, and like not get too overly invested in like what I'm eating or if I'm
Mm.
running the exact mileage and all this stuff. Like, trying to focus on just what I am doing right rather than what I'm lacking. And I just always looked up to her. I always felt like, she always had like a pink stripe through her hair. I always had like a pink or red or purple through my hair too. And like, just, yeah, I don't know. She's just super cool. She's super badass. And
Was
then she moved to the
she
1500
okay?
and dominated there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
When did she retire?
Um, I don't know that.
Okay.
Probably 20, maybe 2016
Okay. I feel like 2016 is probably when I really, because that's when I
ish.
started this podcast. That's when I really started following, like, professional distance
Hmm.
running. So I probably just missed, like, the window of following her career.
Yeah. Look,
Um,
she's pretty cool. Still
yeah.
cool. Now she's coaching too, by the way.
Okay. Where does she coach?
I think she's at Brown if she's still there. If she's still, I haven't really like looked her up lately, but I haven't
Okay.
done any stalking lately, so who knows?
I listened to your podcast on the mic. What's that? What's
Oh,
that show?
coffee and a mic.
Yes, yes, Coffee and a
Yeah.
Mic. And you were talking about your team kids having like fake Instagram accounts and stuff, and I
Oh
thought
yeah,
that
the
was really
Finsta.
funny.
Yeah. I taught him about the Finstas.
I mean, I'm the same. I'm a little bit older than you, but like I don't even know about those. But I think that actually I know someone our age that has one, and she's like, then I can like stalk people without them knowing I'm stalking them, and I'm like, what? Who has the time for this?
Oh my God. I just am like I'm shameless, so I
Yeah,
don't really care. I'll let you know that I'm stalking you. And
same.
I'm like, oh, yeah, I was stalking you. Like I'll just walk up to somebody and be like, "Hey, oh my gosh, you did
Uh
X, Y,
huh.
and Z last month. I follow you on Instagram, by
Uh
the way."
huh. Oh, it's
That's
yeah.
cool.
It's that. I mean, that's just 2020. I mean, it's just what
It
it is.
is.
Here we
Exactly.
are.
Yep.
Okay, so talk to us about steeplechase, going pro, what that time of your life looked like, and you must have been one of the first pro steeplechasers.
I was probably like the second wind of
Second wind.
steeplechasers. I don't
Okay.
know. Um, but yeah, I mean, let's see. So actually, like I never thought I would go pro at all. Like my priority in college, so my sophomore year, I guess I'll start there. Coach Kepler ended up leaving for the University of Utah because he did such a fantastic job with our program at Northern Iowa. So he got the head job there. He's been at Utah now ever since. And so in that moment, I kind of, it was like a little bit of a wake up call because he really wanted me to be the leader and, help lead the team. And he's like, Coach Bucknam's going to take back over. He's done it before. Trust him. He's going to do great. But like also, we're going to need leadership from within and, just really express that. So I was like, and in that process, I discovered that, hey, I can coach.
Mm.
This is a profession. He's moving to another school.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is an actual thing that I could do. And at the time, I think I was a business major, and so I changed my major and did exercise science, and then in that process, I was like, oh, I didn't love school. In that process, I realized that, oh man, if I want to like coach at the highest level, I probably need a master's degree.
Mm.
So I was like, okay. So, and then I kind of started planning for the future for that. And that's when I went to the University of Utah for my fifth year. And I also was a volunteer assistant. So Coach Kepler was like, yeah, come run your fifth year. And then I'll pay for, your school as like a grad assistant. And so I did a 2-year program in health promotion all while helping coach and just doing whatever little tasks he needed me to do. And then I also was running with the girls, like whatever workouts.
Mm.
He separates it into like a 5K, 10K group, and then he has like the 800, 1500, 3K-ish group. So I would kind of bounce between the two groups, and I ended up getting really fit and racing really fast within those 2 years. And that's when Brooks kind of came knocking on my door and they're like, hey, we're going to start this group. Like, we think you'd be a good fit for it. Um, and this was before the Beasts kind of, it was the start of it basically. And at the time they're like, we're not gonna, we don't have a coach yet or anything like that, but like, ideally we'll have a group based in Seattle and we'll have this coach and, years down the line, something to look forward to. And I was like, cool, I'm in. Like, cool vision, love that, love the company, loved their shoes already. I worked at lots of running stores, so knew they had good product. Um, yeah, and so that was kind of my transition into professional running. Never thought it would be a thing that I did.
So you followed Coach Kepler.
Yeah.
Tell us some things you learned from him. I don't know much about him.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Um, gosh, what did I learn from him? Lots of things on what not to do. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no, like he's a really organized person. So, I mean, and then like initially just like writing programs too, so it was nice. He gave me the flexibility and freedom to, um, I think at one point I wrote like the cross country season out and then it was kind of like turning it into the professor. I was like, okay, here, this is what I have planned. And
Mm-hmm.
then he would kind of move things around or he'd be like, this is great. This is awesome. Like, let's actually do this. So it was kind of a lot of back and forth in that way, in that manner. And I learned a lot just about programming and just what he's done in the past that hasn't worked and hopefully not making those mistakes going into the future too. So
Does he still coach there?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
he's still
awesome.
there. Yeah.
So you didn't plan to turn pro, but you were the fastest ranked steeplechaser in 2010.
Mm, yeah, for a period of time.
I mean, that's a big deal. Um, how long did you do this? I see that you like after the 2012 trials, you ended up calling it,
Yeah.
calling the pro career, but like I just am interested in hearing a little bit more about that experience. I just feel like now steeplechase is so much more prevalent, so I'm sure it was a little bit different. It wasn't even that long ago, but it maybe feels like longer than it was, right?
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I think looking back, I wish I would have been a little bit more balanced. I think I could have run longer and I think I was just really burnt out after
Mm.
2012 and I wasn't making much money either, so that was a strain as well. And um I don't know, I think it was the right call though, for sure, because my passion was in coaching
Mm.
and that's what I wanted to do. And I was able to, leading into 2012, have conversations with different programs about becoming a coach in their programs and stuff like that. And yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think running pro was cool, and the steeplechase was just kind of starting. I think the American record back then was like 9:20 or something like that.
Okay.
So I was running 9:51, I think is what I ran. And,
Okay.
like, I don't know. I just kind of got to the point where I think I was in about 9:40 shape. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, is that going to be competitive on a world level?
Mm.
Like, I want to kick ass at the world level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want. So, my passion is in coaching. Like, let's get other people to that level. I'll put my passion and my knowledge into others and hopefully help them achieve those goals.
Yeah, because now the record Courtney has it right. Is it like
Yeah.
9:01? Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Like nine. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. They'll break 9 soon. I mean, if we ever really
Oh,
have
for
races again,
sure.
right?
I know if they get to race, I think, oh man, her and Emma, Jesus, they're so fun to watch.
They're so fast. I was so excited when she did
Oh my
that.
God, I know.
I'm trying to think what race was that? Was it, do you remember?
Um,
It was was it already been 2 years?
it's been 2 years,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, it
Wow.
goes to prove like how good that record is too.
Right. Totally.
Like, I mean, they've come close for sure since then, but yeah, what race was that?
I don't know. I don't know
Definitely
now.
watched it. Was it
Um,
World Championships?
we should know. It was a
Uh,
huge. It is still a
the
huge
big
deal, but it was a huge deal. I mean, when it happened. Um,
one.
okay, so let's talk about your coaching journey then. I mean, I think it's so cool because you don't even see a ton of head coaches collegiately that are women, let alone on the pro level. So this is really cool to hear
Yeah.
about your journey.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, definitely gosh, I owe a lot of that to Tony Sandoval at Cal. Like the fact that, he was able to, he had this vision for like Cal distance and Cal cross country. He wanted it to be national level, men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that my first year, just threw me in. He's like, all right, write the workouts. I was like, I've never coached a male to begin with, and I've never coached the 10K. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, it's okay. He's like, I'll be here to help you if you stumble, but like, go for it. I was just like, what? It was awesome though, because I just learned so much and I learned so much so fast. And we were able to, the 7 years I was there, we always had an individual male or female qualifier or a team qualified. And that was his vision. And we didn't have a lot of resources invested into the distance program. I think for most years, on the men's side, I was averaging one scholarship between seven
Wow.
to 10 people, um and like yeah, so it was interesting. It was fun to like it was a challenge. It was a challenge to, make sure you have an entire squad and make sure they're getting the right type of training so they can keep developing because I was getting a lot of development type kids. And
Mm.
I think that's almost more rewarding is some of my men's stories is just their humble backgrounds and the way that they progressed into national caliber runners. So
So yeah, University of California, Berkeley. I had no idea it was so small.
yeah.
What the university itself is really small, or are the
Mm,
teams so small because of the lack of funding for the scholarships?
yeah, the lack of funding, not it's not a fully funded program. So also part of Tony's vision for the entire, he was the director of track and field and cross country, right? So had to spread those resources. And this is what he wanted to do was, and it's the tradition of Cal cross country and track and field that they have a broad-based program. So, they have jumpers, they have throwers, they have sprinters and distance runners. A long legacy of great middle distance runners, and great legacy of throwers as well. So it's like you, with that and not being a fully funded program, the resources just didn't go very far. So, I mean, we would keep the squad for the distance team, on the men's side around probably 15 to 20 at the most.
Okay.
But the resources, a lot of them were recruited walk-ons or
Hmm.
so, yeah.
Wow. Okay. What?
Uh,
This is kind of a gender specific question, but I feel like I don't know if that's politically correct, but whatever. What's the main difference between coaching like a male college athlete and a female athlete? What did you have to learn to coach males? Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, no. To be honest, they just want to be directed and they want to just feel confident, not even confident. They'll do whatever you tell them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually found it really easy to coach the men. The women want to know more details and they
Okay.
want to know exactly why they're doing things.
Uh huh.
And they want to see the plan in front of them. And to be honest, I think women are a little bit more challenging to buy into a program. The men were I probably only had two issues with men in my entire 7 years there.
Wow.
Most of them just followed along. They're like, "This is great," and there were some that would ask questions and want to see the program and the plan and everything, and which is great. Like I welcome that always. Of course, I have the year program written out and everything, and but you also explain that, hey, this is going to change. Just
Sure.
because the plan is in place doesn't mean that we're going to freaking stick to it and follow everything to the T. So, but yeah, it's just like communicating that and empowering them and creating a great team environment where they're just thriving off each other. So, and I think both genders kind of thrive in that as well. So that's the biggest, I think, takeaway from collegiate running because they have so much going on,
Mm-hmm.
and most of my teams were like the highest academics in Cal, like for all of athletics, my men won highest GPA 2 years in a row. And so,
Wow.
and I think those were the 2 years that we went back to back to cross country nationals too. So it's like they not only were being national caliber in cross country, but they were being national caliber in the classroom too. So um, it's creating that structure in order for all of them to thrive because they have a lot on their plate.
Would you say that's typical of um, like collegiate athletes, I guess runners specifically, that they're also really good students?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. They already have that. They're the type A, they're
Uh huh.
hardwired that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Hold on a second. I lost my train of thought, and I had a follow up question about the coaching men and women. Um, because you said two kids were harder to coach. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, what do you think? Oh, I know what it was. Okay, so you mentioned like a lot of your runners were up and comers or people, walk ons that you're kind of like
Yeah.
you're cultivating this relationship with running and them to be these like higher caliber athletes. How is it different coaching someone like that opposed to someone who just like walks on and they're like really already there and like really good?
Yeah. Honestly, that's a great question because because I've also had national record holder women that have
Mm-hmm.
walked in, Beth Ann Knights, Bree Oakley, and they came in with this expectation to be national level straight away, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the outsider, right? Like they're putting that pressure on them to, oh, well, they should be all American their freshman year. You're shooting these kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would honestly say that they're actually pretty similar because those men and women that are high caliber, they're already working at such a high level and they already like buy into whoever their coaches are and they're already like just 110% committed. and ready to do the little things, that's kind of the same way as the walk on that has a chip on their shoulder that
Mm.
wants to prove themselves. So they actually match up pretty well, even though they're at two different levels. So yeah, I love having both on teams because you can't all just be studs.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not as much fun, I don't think.
How do you
Like,
cultivate the relationship with the kids who like aren't as high achieving on the team to make sure that like they still feel as important as members on the team? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I did, and I think this was pretty helpful. I mean, I always explain to them that each one of them has a purpose. And like when I recruit people that are like very different personalities quite a bit because they all add value to the team for the greater betterment of the team. And I just think it's fun. And especially maybe I was spoiled at Berkeley because you just get that quirky, different kid anyways. They're just like wired a little bit differently. Um, but basically just explaining to everyone, hey, you all are different, but you all have to love each other
Mm-hmm.
and you all have to work together. And each of you brings something to this team that the other person doesn't. And I can go around the group and tell you each person what you're bringing and what value you provide to this team. But it's usually a personality trait, or it's usually, sometimes it is like, okay, well, this is an 800-meter runner that's going to pull you all the way to the end, right? All the way through the finish line, or, stuff like that. They're different skills, of course, but at the end of the day, I think mainly just the different personalities are what kind of pull the team together for sure.
I love that so much. Okay, so you end up transitioning and coaching pro. Tell us why you decided to leave coaching college.
Um, to be honest, I didn't find the right coaching situation last summer. I didn't want to move to the South. I didn't want to move back to the Midwest. So it was pretty limiting as far as where I was going to go. As far as like the opportunities out there. And I I knew that my next move, because coaching collegiately is so demanding. You're in season 9 months out of the year, and then when you're not in season, you're recruiting those other 3 months, and you just don't really have a life. So I wanted to make sure that I was spoiled once again. We're working at Cal Berkeley because I was in Northern California, and when I did have spare time, me and my assistant, we would go camping for
Ugh,
a day or a
sounds
night.
amazing.
It's like you're 45 minutes away from great woodland area, and even in my backyard was a regional park. So I was really spoiled, and I just knew that that was something that kept me going, was just having access to really cool areas to explore and get out and into nature. So that was the one thing I was like, I have to be somewhere that I'm going to enjoy to live.
Mm.
And so the opportunity just didn't really present itself, and I had high hopes to become a director of a program. Um, it still might be down the road something I would like to do, but it is a lot of work. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was already working 60 to 80 hours a week.
Wow.
Then to be a director, you have the pressure of the entire team. So you're working more. If you're doing it right, you're working more.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it just wasn't the right situation. So I just kept saying no. I kept saying no, and in hopes that something better would present itself, or I was just gonna not work for a year maybe and see if I just wanted to make sure it was the next right move. And I'm fortunate enough that, I don't have a family and I don't have kids. I don't have people relying on me
Mm.
for an income source. So it's like, well, it's just me by myself. I can kind of take a back seat and see what opportunity does present itself for me. So
That probably does feel freeing.
yeah,
Like to
it was
know that
hard.
like I'm going to be okay to like take care of myself. Like I can handle this. If I have to like go get a serving job or something for a little bit, like I can pay
Right.
my bills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I love that you have that mindset though, because I do think that in whatever business you're in, like it's like, oh, if I find the right job, I'm going to go for the right job. But I love that you're like, no, I'm going to live in an awesome location, and like you talked about balance earlier, like I'm going to also find this balance so that when I'm not working, like I'm doing the things that I love.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
It also seems like though that would be hard to do with the director position you were talking about, because it's like when you work that many hours, how much balance can you really have?
Yeah. No, I realize that too.
Yeah, it's like, oh my
Yeah, because then,
gosh.
then on top of all that, you have fundraising, you have, you're if you're doing the director position correct, I think most of them don't actually coach that much, and it's just
Mhm. Mhm.
facilitating your coaches and facilitating donors, and just kind of being the figurehead and making sure everything, empowering your employees to do their job and feel like they have the freedom to do their job really, really well. So make sure the kids are taken care of.
Yeah. What do you think one of the best qualities in a director is?
Um, yeah, like macro managing, just making sure that they can provide some structure, but are can let
Mhm.
people be creative,
Mm.
basically. Because I think, of course, I have an idea of how things should work, but at the end of the day, like each event coach has an even better idea, I'm
Mhm.
sure, and that's kind of, you make sure you hire the right people and then entrust that they are taking care of what they're supposed to be taking care of while still providing some structure for them as well.
Do you feel like as you get older, I'm saying this because I feel like this as I get older. I'm like, I still want to work really hard and I want to do the things I love with work, but like, I do feel like I don't want to work my life away, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the last, since joining Under Armour, I've really realized that. I'm like, oh, I was killing myself for the last 7 years. And I was working myself to the bone. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's nice to be able, like, my body was so wrecked. Like, I couldn't run. I couldn't run for the last 4 years because I
Because you
think
were
there was so
stressed
much
or?
stress. Yeah.
Wow.
Because now I've been running for like 6 months straight, pretty high mileage for me, and feeling fine. It's
Interesting.
crazy
So you
of
weren't
how
running
much
at
stress I
all when
had.
you were coaching those last 4 years at university?
Not, yeah, not really.
Huh. Now, did that have an effect on your like mental state?
I tried to check in with myself to make sure I wasn't being an awful person.
Because I mean, it's like when we can't, as runners, it's like when
Totally.
we can't run, we get like super grumpy or, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I constantly tried to check in. I mean, I think I was just grumpy anyways because of just how much stress it was there.
Well,
So,
tell us now, though, you have an exciting thing going on with your team in Flagstaff and Under
yeah.
Armour. So this is like a totally new life situation for you. You seem very happy and free.
Yes, no, it's been great. Yeah, we will hopefully announce our group name here in the next month. So
Okay.
the call I was just on, we are kind of talking about that. And um, yeah, right now we have five, six-ish women part of the group, and then we have four guys, so about 10 total. I'm trying to make sure I'm remembering everyone because there's people all over the country right now, or all over the world too. Scully's out in Ireland. Um, so yeah, we're starting this thing and starting recruiting for the group, and yeah, it's exciting. It's a fun time. We're basically a group that's 800 on up to marathon and everything in between. So have some steeplechasers and yeah,
I
it's
love
been
it.
been fun.
Okay. So, Steven, he's your co coach and he's an agent. Tell me about this relationship. And I have another question. Did he go to IU?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because I went to IU and I recognized his name. Um,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So, okay. And I'm assuming he's around our age.
Yes, he is 37. two
Okay.
years older than me.
So
Yeah.
that's probably why I recognize his name. He probably ran at IU. I did not
Yeah.
run, but okay. Okay, so talk to me about how this all came about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's also Shelby's agent.
Okay, I knew
Know if
that.
you knew
Okay.
that. Yep. But Stephen and I have been long, long friends since I was running pro. I think that's probably when we met first. And he was like at when I started running pro, he was stopping running, and he had kind of headed up the Team Indiana Elite team.
Okay.
And then he was also like transitioning into becoming an agent at that time. And so we've had this relationship. I connected him and Shelby, and he helped me out a bunch while I was in Europe and stuck in Europe with nowhere to sleep. And, he made sure I had a bed to sleep in at the end of the day, even though he wasn't my agent. So he's just an all around good guy. Like, he's amazing. Um, yeah, so yeah, we've been longtime friends. And then, like, even like probably when the coaching merry-go-round happens at every summer, it's like, okay, are there jobs that like he kind of has the in on that. And when I knew I wasn't going to be coming back to Cal, I was like, yeah, I'm looking for anything. I want to be a director and all this stuff. So he was kind of helping me with that as well. And putting my name out there to different programs and stuff like that. And then come around USA's, I got this cryptic call from him.
Mm.
And he's like, so there might be this opportunity. I can't tell you where, but it's like with some elite, like pro type runners, and like, would you be interested? I was like, okay, my one thing, I don't want to live somewhere that sucks.
Yeah,
I
that's your
was like,
thing.
is it somewhere that sucks? And he goes, no, you would like where it is. I was like, cool. Hit me up when I can know more details. And then at USA's, we ended up meeting with Hannah and Jamie, our Under Armour marketing women, and we had a conversation, the four of us, and what they were trying to build out here in Flagstaff, and what their vision was for the group, and all the groundwork that Haas had already put into it. And I was like, sounds good. I also was like very like timid in this process too, just because I did want to make sure I was making the right choice too. So, and they were awesome with that component of my emotional state. So, yeah, we just kind of took it slow, kept having conversations. They brought me out to Flagstaff, so I got to like see the group set up and everything. And when I was out here in Flagstaff, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. This is pretty awesome. So I don't think I told them that, but I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And I went out to Baltimore and, met a lot of the
Mm.
people out in Under Armour, and talked more with Hannah and Jamie. And yeah, and then I moved out in October, basically.
Okay, still pretty new. I heard you also mention on that podcast, which I think it's hilarious, that you said Boulder's the bougie Flagstaff.
It's true.
I think that is hilarious. I love it.
There's a lot of people moving there right now. They're gonna realize how expensive it is.
Yeah. Okay, so was the team idea, was this something Steven pitched to Under Armour, or did Under Armour pitch to him?
I'm pretty sure he probably pitched it to them. I'm not real clear on that, but I think also they knew that they wanted to invest in a team, and
Okay.
like I think Stephen really educated them on like Flagstaff, and Hannah, she ran in college. She's a runner by trade. She's awesome, and like really understands like the running component. So she knew about Flagstaff too, and her college coach was Mike Smith, who's at NAU, and
Mhm.
so she knew about Flagstaff. And so I think it might have been a combination of both, really, but definitely this is like Stephen's baby.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really something to be said for these teams. I mean, because you have Bowerman, obviously, there with Nike, and
Mhm.
then an AZ with Hoka, and you
Yep.
really see the brand front and center when you have this big team running under the brand.
Yeah.
It's smart
Yeah.
marketing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about what your team looks like as far as the women on the team, the men on the team. You said you range all the way from the 8 to the marathon. So how do you guys facilitate training with such a wide range?
Yeah. So let's see. We have like so Scully, Stephen Scullion, he's our Irish marathoner. He's primarily our only marathoner right now. Emily Durgan on the women's side, she will be moving up there eventually. She ran her first half marathon this winter or February. Um, so she's kind of moving towards that. She's like 10K, half marathon, um, marathon soon. And then we have Sharon Loketti,
Mm-hmm.
who's 5K, 10K. Um, I could see her running a real fast half marathon soon. But who knows? Don't quote me on that. She'll kill me if she hears that. Um,
Send her the
uh,
episode.
yeah, yeah. And then there's Courtney Barnes. She's a steeplechaser. She ran for KU. Her and Sharon were actually teammates at KU. And then Taryn Rollins, she ran at Portland. She's like 1500 5K. And then we have Bailey, who's like our 800, 1500. I'm teaching her the steeplechase as well. Um, gal. So she's like our speed demon on the team. And then on the men's side, I talked about Scully, who he's stuck in Ireland right now. So that's why I'm like, make sure don't forget Scully.
Is he from Ireland?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then we have Pat Casey, primarily 1500. And then Blake Haney ran at Oregon. He's almost been here. He's new to the group. We're both noobs, so he's actually has Canadian citizenship. So like he's looking to, make that team 15. Or I was also teaching him the steeplechase too. So we'll see what happens. Never know. And then Brandon Doty. Sorry.
It's okay.
He's a steeplechaser and yeah, steeplechase 15, maybe the 5. I don't know.
Which workouts do you
But
like to jump into? The longer distance people's workouts or the shorter?
oh, I don't do any of their workouts. I'll bike alongside. I'll, give some encouragement, some water here and there.
But you're working out too, right?
Oh, I'm just running.
Just for fun.
I Yeah, yeah. Let's see, probably like 2 months ago, I was doing some workouts, but
Okay.
it was like, why am I working out?
What's the
I
point?
don't have anything on the docket or anything. So yeah, but
Yeah, look, why am I putting my body through all this pain if there's not a
yeah.
end goal? But do you ever, when you are running, because you said you're running like decently high mileage, like do you ever just throw down a tempo or something just because you feel good?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do every so often. Usually on like our Wednesday, we do a medium long run.
Okay.
So I might, well, actually, I mean, if I'm trying to like keep up with them, it usually turns into a tempo run.
Uh-huh.
So I think, gosh, it was like 2 Sundays ago, I was hanging with all of them and it definitely turned into a tempo run because it was super hilly and I was dying. But yeah,
So are
every so
you,
often.
yeah. So are you and Steven, like, are you guys, do you call yourself co-coaches? Like, who's heading up most of the work? What does that look like?
Yeah, yeah. We call each other, yeah, co-coaches. We're trying to collaborate as much as possible, but at the end of the day, he is the one kind of writing the workouts,
Okay.
and then I give my input, and we make adjustments based on that, which is it's good. I also this fall I have my national strength and conditioning certificate, so I'm going to write more than likely all the strength and conditioning programs as well to like make sure that it aligns with the work we are doing. So
How many
yeah,
times a
that's
week
kind
are
of
you
our
guys
goal.
strength training?
Twice a week.
Okay.
Yep.
How is it different recruiting professionals for a team like this than when you recruit in the collegiate space? I know it's like totally different, but like what are you doing to seek out people for your team now?
Yeah, it's like it's somewhat similar, I would say. Especially if I know most of the coaches that, these men and women are coming from. So I'll head a conversation with the coach usually first. If I already, a lot of these kids right now, I know just
Mm.
from being at Cal and, competing, or I've already recruited them out of high school, a lot of them. So
Oh.
it's like second round recruiting, like, oh, hey, remember me? So,
Like you didn't
um,
come to California, but now you can come run for me
yeah.
kind of deal?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of fun. It's fun like knowing the kids ahead of time and having followed their careers and stuff like that pretty closely, just being in that collegiate system. But it's pretty similar to, what I would do at a high school too. So just making sure the coaches are in the loop. I think that's really important, especially because like there aren't as many regulations, like in high school, it's like, oh, if they're competing, you can't talk to them, all these things. And
Hmm.
it's like, well, it's kind of all, I still try to honestly follow a lot of that stuff because I think it is good. Like, you want to make sure people have space and, you don't want to be jamming information down their throat before they're going to race. And, just knowing the right timing, I think is
Mm.
good too. But yeah, just having conversations and, you know, and a lot of it is like having conversation with the athlete and then, going back to Under Armour, making sure that they're filled in on the conversations. And a lot of times they'll be in on those conversations with the athletes as well, too. So, yeah, just making sure everyone's on the same page and just communicating. I try to be as open and honest with people as possible. And it's like, hey, this is what it looks like. Like, especially during this pandemic, it's been really weird. It's like, hey, we might have money, we may not, just like, it's I'm very fortunate that Under Armour was very flexible with us and let us, continue to recruit the people we were recruiting. And they're really invested in what we're doing. So, gosh, we were so lucky. A lot of, Nike was shut down, a lot of different companies just, there wasn't any money there. So, or, they're being careful or whatever. So, yeah, we got to continue to kind of go through that recruiting process, which was nice.
Yeah, what a strange year to be like starting this off because you said you moved there in October and it's like, okay, we've got a couple normal months here and then here we go. Like
Yeah,
everything changed and nobody really, I didn't see it coming.
no, not at all.
It's
It was wild.
wild, yeah. Well, it's exciting though, not the pandemic, what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
just an exciting time, it seems like. I mean, it's such a strange year, but you guys are getting this off the ground and it'll be interesting to look back four
yeah,
years from now and see what you guys have accomplished and where it has been taken to from this first year.
yeah. No, definitely. I think big things to come, and we're really excited. So it should
That's
be fun to
awesome.
see where we're at here from now.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up with some end of the podcast questions. I think Emma sent those over to you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about Flagstaff, though?
Um, oh, the smaller amount of people compared to the Bay Area.
Ah,
Just the smaller town. And this is my second time living here, and it's more crowded than it was 10 years ago. And, people that have lived here for a long time complain about how many people there are here.
I bet.
And I just laugh at them like, okay.
You're like, let
It's
me
awesome.
tell you. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Um,
cool though to like live in the Bay Area, be like surrounded by so many people, and then move back here and really be able to appreciate what I have now.
oh, that's awesome. Does it feel like a small community?
Yeah, definitely.
Huh.
The running community here is really small, and I think everyone really cares for each other, and it does feel small.
That's cool. All right. What is something professionally or personally that you'd like to do that you haven't done yet?
Um, ooh. Well, personally, I want to keep climbing 14ers each year. Each summer I do at least one, but I would like to climb most of the Colorado 14ers. I think I've done 9 of them. But I want to continue to see how many I can get. I'm not going to say I want to get all of them because there are some of them that I'm like, ugh, that just like, it's not very pretty. It's not in great locations and stuff like
Mm.
that. But I would like to see how many of them I can get.
14ers, is that 14,000 feet of
Yes,
elevation? Okay.
yes,
Big mountains.
exactly. Yeah, big mountains.
Okay.
It's like my favorite thing to do in the summer.
When you hike up a mountain like that, what is the time that goes into that?
It depends. Like, it depends how long the hike is. Like the hike into like the base, and then you're kind of scrambling at the top or whatever. Um, I think the worst one I did so far has been Long's Peak, and it's in the Rocky Mountain National Forest, or actually Park, National Park. And it was actually the day that Shelby broke the 5K American record for the first time. And I was with my brother and some friends. And the only thing that kept me going was knowing we didn't have any service. And we're like, when we get to the top, we might have service and we'll know if Shelby broke the record.
Mm.
And that was the only thing keeping me going. It was like an 18-mile round trip thing. And it's like 2 or 3 miles of scrambling at the very top. And you're just exhausted by the time you get to that point. And I was just like, all right, Shelby's working really hard. We can work hard and get to the top. And I wanted to turn around so many times, but I did it.
All right. Two follow-up questions from that.
Yeah.
What's it been like to see Shelby just dominate, like as her sister?
It's super cool. Like I've always known it about her. I'm sure like any of my longtime friends can like attest to it. That I way back when she was in high school, I was like, my sister is going to be really, really good. And I would just like talk about her all the time. And I just thought she was the best and like the most awesome. I was like, if she decides to, it was always that too. Like with this asterisk, like she's one of the most talented people I've ever met in my entire life. And if she, at the time, she was kind of, she was just being a high schooler. She was in and out of it, which was awesome. Like she's eating Burger King,
Like
she's drinking
healthy,
Mountain
yeah. Just like
Dew,
balance.
like all this stuff. Like, yeah, I think that was the best thing that she could have done because she wasn't that like super serious high school phenom. She got to college and she was like, oh, I should clean up my eating a little bit. So each year she just kind of got a little bit better, like not drastically, but she's just kind of chipped away at it. So it's just been cool to like see her come into her own and honestly like see her come into like what I always thought she could be and like would be. So, and like the fact that she loves doing it is
Hmm.
super cool. It's like she's a coach's dream. She's just super coachable. Like somebody that shows up to practice and wants to kick everyone's butt. And like, what? Like in the most positive way possible. Like
Yeah.
she's like, I'm gonna push you today. Like it's so funny seeing her and Carissa. I'm just like they're both kind of very similar in that way. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't know. It's been really cool to have like front row seats to her growing into herself professionally and even watching her in college too. It was really cool because I was at all those meets too. So
Oh,
I feel
I
like I'm
love
just
it.
following her or something. I don't know.
Well, it can't get more exciting than like seeing your sister be at the top of the world level wise, like with competing. Like who would be more exciting to cheer for than your own sister?
I know. It's yeah, no one.
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah, I love
Well, and
to.
it is wild because it's like, oh, sorry,
No, you go.
talking. It is. It's like, and I mean, also, it's so crazy because I knew she was gonna be good, but like this good, I don't know. Yeah. Then I kind of question myself. I'm like, did I really think she was gonna be this good? I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I think so. It's just funny. You kind of go back and forth on it.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever interviewed someone that um showed as much excitement for like big hard workouts as Shelby.
Yes, it's unreal.
It's
That's real. Like whenever I love listening to her interviews because I'm like, yep, that's Shelby. Like she's just raw. Like it's her, it's just who she is. She just is who she is. And like you can't, somebody that is authentically themselves, there's just something about that that I think is really cool. Just owns themselves. And I think she constantly teaches me to like, be better and own my stuff, you know? So,
Yeah, I love it. Okay, the other follow up question on the hiking I had was you have to give up hiking or running. What do you give up?
oh my gosh, that is a good one.
Sad, right? But
Yeah.
you can do one for the rest of your life, but you have to give up
Well,
the other.
I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to give up running, and I would be 110% satisfied with just being able to go on hikes. And I think like the past 4 years, since I wasn't able to run, like my
Mm,
body hurt that bad, I was so thankful and grateful that I was able to hike. That was my outlet, and my kids would go out for their runs. I would at least get out and do a little hike or whatever. And I wasn't moving that well, but I was able to do it. So I guess probably give up running. Ooh, I hate to say that.
oh,
That's a good question.
hiking feels more peaceful based on what you've said. It feels like a really enjoyable thing. Not that
Yeah.
running's not, but what's an accomplishment you're most proud of?
Um, Probably like carrying on Coach Sandoval's tradition of um having the Cal program at the national level for, 7 years. That was really awesome and just the development of those young men and women, I think it was really rewarding and um, seeing them achieve things that they came in not thinking that they could achieve was really rewarding and really cool to see and be part of.
Do you keep in touch with some of them still?
Yes. Oh my gosh, my girls. Oh my God, I love them. And my guys. I have a group of guys that graduated like with me essentially. So
Mm-hmm.
we all left at the same time. We were out of there. But I had a really awesome group of young women that we still keep in pretty close contact. I actually have Annie Booth, my steeplechaser. She's coming up here tomorrow to Flagstaff
Oh,
to
fun.
visit me. So she's going into her senior year at Cal. So hopefully she's actually been in Boulder a couple of weeks.
Bougie Flagstaff.
But she's coming up here, and I'm excited to have her up here for a couple of weeks. Just kind of train with the team and hang out, eat pastries, and drink coffee.
What's your favorite coffee shop in Flagstaff?
Um, Lux. It's a new one in Flagstaff,
Okay.
and it is so good. It's kind of like this little hole. You don't even know it's there unless you know it's there. It's like a
Okay.
hole in the wall. You walk up, you get your coffee, and then they do have like some outside seating, but you just take it and you walk around downtown Flagstaff. It's awesome.
Oh,
It's really great.
that sounds wonderful. Okay, who is someone fun, motivating, or inspiring you want to have coffee, tea, or cocktail with?
Well, because it's my boy Barack Obama's birthday today, that's who I would like to have
It's his
probably a
birthday.
tea or coffee with. Yep.
Did you see that Michelle Obama started a podcast?
No.
And I think he was her first guest.
Oh my God.
I have
Love.
I have to listen to that. I'm going to listen to that today when we get off actually.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's his birthday today. So
Don't
happy
quote me,
birthday.
friends. I just like saw a tweet or something that he was her first guest. So I could be wrong. This is not something I've researched, but
Gosh, their goals.
yeah,
I love them.
I love that. Okay, what's the best most recent book you've read?
I'm actually finishing The Subtle Art
Mm,
of yeah,
not giving a. We talked
not
about this
giving.
on Shelby and Carissa's episode because I think
I've not
Carissa's
heard that.
reading
I was
it.
like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm just finishing it.
Is it
So
good?
I have one more chapter left. Yeah, it is. It's really good. It like reads really easily and he's just really funny the way that it's like he's speaking to you. So I enjoy that. And there's just little tidbits. It's one of those books that you can just kind of pick
Mm.
up and probably start it from anywhere and you'll pick up something that you're like, oh yeah, I need to be better at that.
Oh, it sounds good.
So,
I need to add it to my list. I'm currently reading Daisy Jones and the Six. Have you read that?
no. Is it good?
So good. I'm like, it's a, it's a fun read.
Mark
It's not
it
like
down.
a self-help or anything, but like
Yeah.
it is like I started it maybe 3 or 4 days ago and I can't like I don't want to do anything because I just want to read and I'm like, Lindsay, you can't do that. You have things you have to do. But I'm already sad for when it's gonna be over because it's so good. It's just like
Oh, that's great.
you get so into the characters. It's about a band in the 60s, I want to say.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really good.
Have you read Educated?
No, but I have it on my list.
Yeah, and that's what I'm about to start as well.
I've heard really
So,
good things. Lots of people have recommended that one.
yes. Yes, I'm excited to read it finally. Feel like I know everything that it's about, but like I need to read this for myself.
I know I'm trying to think what book it was that I just sort of recently finished that someone said, if you liked that, read Educated. And now I can't remember. That's annoying. I'll put it in the show notes. All right, here's our last question. What's your one message to send to the world?
Be kind to yourself. That's what I tell all of my athletes. Because I think we're just so hard on ourselves all the time. I know I'm hard on myself, having big expectations for myself and others around me. So always just be kind to yourself. Take a step back and pat yourself on the back, as cheesy as that sounds. You're doing great.
I love that. Pat yourself on the back and read a book that you can just not have to think.
Exactly.
Just put your feet up. Put your feet up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, Shayla, well, this was really fun. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
Good luck with the team. And I am
Thanks.
anxious to know what the name's going to be. Are you guys like sitting in boardrooms, like trying to figure this out? Because I like naming something is really hard to do.
Oh, it was really hard. We have a name,
Oh,
we
you
have
do?
a logo.
Okay.
Yep, it's ready to go. It's just kind of fine tuning everything, making sure we don't want to be like hasty with like just dropping it
Yeah.
and
Big
you
deal.
know, we want to make sure we have the structure in place to really get this thing off the ground. So, yeah, we haven't it took us forever though. I
So hard.
will say the Flagstaff community, and hopefully the logo will do the same as well. And it should be a name that's sustainable throughout some generations. So,
When are you planning to announce it?
hopefully at the end of this month.
Okay. So fairly soon. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye, Shayla.
Yep. Bye.